Hello, good morning. It is Monday, January 20th, and my name is Rob. I am that developer dad, and I'm not watching the events that are happening in Washington, D.C. this morning. So I'm going to write some code instead. All right, so I took Friday off completely. I woke up on the wrong side of the bed, and I was just in no state to do this. So I've got a little bit of a backlog here, so we're going to try and catch up as best we can. Today, I want to get a button added to the main menu on the left-hand side of the main application that lets somebody who is a known user but not a paid user log into their account. So to do that, we're going to leverage these authorization policies that we set up a couple of months ago over in the main application, and we're going to work those into our nav menu. So we've got our main layout, we've got pages. Let's take a look at how we're doing things on the home page. Authorized view, authorized. Okay, yeah. Not authorized. So this cues people to get into the application. And then this is the content that's shown to people who are logged in and have their identity established. So there's somewhere else where I do some more advanced things. Let's take a look at view NPC attributes, because I want to find where I am using the generate AI stuff and save and so on and so forth. So there's all that stuff. Okay. Authorized view policy equals obz constants dot poll paid users. Okay. That's how we do it. So let's take a look at our nav menu. So here's policy protected menu items. And this just anybody who's logged in, everybody can see this. So down at the bottom, authorized view, context, user, identity, name. Okay. And I think I need to add a new policy. So let's go to this definition. Known users, paid users, public const string, policy, only free users equals that. Now we have to define that policy. Need to define the policy that applies to free users who have only the free account. That means they are in the role known user, but not the role underscore paid user. Okay, so this defines the policy and gives it the name, but the issue with this is that it's requiring both roles. Is there a way to check for a role to ensure that a role is not present when establishing a policy rule? Yeah, let's try that. Require role known user, require assertion context.user is in role. And I'm going to change that to that. And why do I do that? Because I like to be able to see it plain as the nose on my face that we are testing for a negative condition rather than just using that little exclamation point. So let's give this a little test here. And I think to test this, I'm going to go to home. And I'm going to drop another authorized view on here. And, oh gosh, how did I apply that? Policy equals I need to take a look at the NPC generator again. Bounce down here and see how I did it. Oh no, not on create NPC, but on view attributes. Policy equals, okay. At, yes, auth z constants. Just going to copy this. Dot Paul underscore only let's just copy paste. We're going to put this on the home page for now. We'll do that. What are you complaining about? Here we go. Authorized. Not authorized. You aren't a free user. You are a free user. And let's just surround that with this. Do the same thing here. Paste. Excuse me. And let's try running the app and seeing what we get. And it says, you are a feature host user. You aren't a feature user. Whatever. This is test code. We're going to zap this once we've verified that it actually works. So let's load a new Safari tab. New window. And I want to go to HTTPS, localhost, and I'm not typing. HTTPS, localhost. That's where I want to go. Sign up, sign in. And I actually zapped the Rob is testing account fully. I deleted the Entra account. I deleted the DM's familiar account. I did everything. I torched it. So I need to go over to my gmail.com and log in as not that developer dad. Stop. Let's just go to google.com and I want to log into Rob is testing stuff. Here we go. Go to mail.gmail.com. Here we go. Yeah, fine. Go away. Go away. All right. And it's, what is the email address here? Is testingstuffrob@gmail.com. So let's sign up. And I need to go to sign up now. It's testing stuff. Send the verification code. Excuse me. Bounce over here. Inbox. Here's this. There is that. Pastoroni pizza. Verify that code. Good. Just let Apple pick something. Rob is testing. Rob tests is testing. Creator-roo. Yeah, we'll update the password. And here we go. There's that. Townsfolk. And an unhandled error occurred. We have to reload. Hey, what's up, the Cheese Ninja? How are you? And the app has completely lost its mind. So this is one of those bugs that we encountered last week. That's fine. We'll just go back to localhost 7277. And it's still throwing fits. Yeah, it's completely lost it. One more time. T, localhost. I'm all right. I actually have to sign out and sign back in with this identity. So there's that. I should be able to see these things now. That's freaking out. I'll have to see what the logging error is there. But when that happens, it completely flips out. Well, at least it logged out and logged back in this time. I am working on getting the administrative stuff for the for this product working, like making sure the new user experience is smooth, and right now it is not. And for some reason, I'm also not seeing the seeing this stuff. So what we're going to need to do is take a look at this and see if this policy is actually getting added. But we're also getting Azure request failed, system exception, app state provider, get user limits. No cache, resource not found. Activity could not load the user quota. Specified resource does not exist. Yeah. Okay. So that's part of the issues that we're running into is it cannot find the quota for this user ID. So let's take a look in Azure. There's the blue sky thing. Users, we'll reload this page. Okay, so there's this. Let's take a look at this new account that we just created. View should be in exactly one account and is not a member of any groups. So that's a bit of a problem. And that's actually a little bit odd. Actually, Cheese, let me show you real quick what this application is for. I'll sign out of here. I'll sign in as my personal real account, and we'll use that. Sign in. So I play D&D. I run a game. I haven't gotten to run in a while because two of my players started university in the fall, and their time for playing games and coming back to their hometown where we would play has gone from this to like this. And I'm looking for full-time employment, and just adulting has totally gotten in the way of playing D&D. But when we were able to play a lot, they go on adventures and they come into a town and they go to a tavern or a blacksmith or a shop or whatever, and they would meet just regular people that populate the town because the world has more than just orcs and goblins and dragons and big bad evil guys. It's got regular Joes like you and me that are just trying to live their lives. And so they go to a tavern and want to strike up conversations with the people at the next table over or ask about the personal life of the shopkeeper or the smith who is fixing their armor or making a new sword or weapons for them or what have you. And so in the heat of the moment, in running the game, I'm focused on so many other things other than what the name of the blacksmith is. And so I ended up with a lot of NPCs named Bob and Sally and June and so on. And it didn't sit right with me. And so back last summer, I was recently let go from my from my full-time job. Just, not for any reason. They just needed to boost their quarterly earnings report. And so they let me and a bunch of other people, they laid us all off. And I was like, you know what? I'm a software developer and I know how to use AI. So why don't I do that? And wrote a console app version of this first, where it's like, okay, well, they're in a tavern. We need to know more about the tavern keeper. So say it's a lady elf. She's a tavern keeper. She started life as an acolyte. All right, that looks interesting. Let's generate this. Oh, that stinks, Carax. And it's also some rich booger can buy another yacht, isn't it? Ugh, I'm so sick of it. I'm so very sick of it. And so I push a couple of buttons, and boom, I've got Elowen Thalor, who is running the tavern that the NPCs just visited. She started life in a secluded elven community, studying ancient texts and rituals, and inspired her to connect with the world outside. And she went adventuring and discovered that she really, really loved feeding people and putting smiles on their faces, and found that she could serve her people and her ideals best by opening a tavern. And so now we've got Elowen Thalor, who is running the tavern that the PCs just entered. And so I showed this to my friends, and they're like, holy crap, I want this. And so the hosting ain't free, the AI tokens ain't free. So I'm like, all right, but if I'm gonna make this available to you guys, I want to put a prettier picture, a prettier user interface in front of it. And I'm gonna have to not do it for free. And the not doing it for free has proved to be the most difficult aspect of this project, not just in terms of getting the code written, because writing back-end business logic code is what I've been doing for, 25 years. So that's part of what is taking me so bloody long to get all of this integration done, is that work and that coding is so very much like what I would be doing at a paid development architecture role for an organization. I mean, I love the paycheck that comes from that, but that integration code is so much like just the old daily grind. And doing this stuff, like all of this pretty stuff here that you see, and the fun stuff where I can, create new NPCs. And I actually started a conversation with Claude Sonnet on Friday afternoon. And right now it just exists as a markdown file in a brand new folder on my machine. But I'm actually collaborating with a language model using GitHub Copilot to spec out the next few features that I want to add to this once it's live. And we're the AI and I are talking through the architecture needs and all of that stuff. I mean, I know what I want to do, so I'm kind of doing the AI collaboration as an experiment, just to see how well it works and see how I can develop a personal workflow. And once I've got that figured out, I'll share it with y'all. Once I've figured out the wrinkles and everything like that. But so yeah, what I'm doing today is working on the new user experience. And to get that to happen, I need to solve some problems. Most notably, I need to figure out what the heck is going on when somebody signs up for the first time and signs in, because for some kooky reason, it's not automatically adding the known user or adding the new user to the known users groups. And I'm not going to do this manually here. No, sir. So I got to come over to my storage account and see if it even created the profile. And I suspect that it did not. So let's take a look at the most recent timestamp. Here's this. Here's the user ID. Current subscription JSON, all of that stuff. We've got their MS Entra ID, but we have not added any of the stuff to it. So that means I need to take a look at what happens. Stuff is important. Like, let's take a look at what this JSON looks like here. I'm just going to come in here. We can, maybe it'll let us edit. So here's all this stuff, the meter resource name. Oh, that's me. That's my personal account. You goose. Okay, so it didn't even create a user record for that other one. And I thought done some preliminary stuff, some preliminary integration where when somebody comes in, set off policies, blah, 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 ticket received, redirect to IDP. I don't need any of this stuff because that's all built in, I believe. But let's, okay, yeah, I did do that. On ticket received, redirect. So we're getting all that stuff. Claim app roles exist, value true. Role, load user permission groups, async. Object identifier. Okay, so it's trying to do this. Get required services. Okay, so there's my user access. It's been a few months since I've looked at this particular code. I didn't want to find the implementations, you goof. Here we are. Load user permission groups async. Use null, wrap into try catch, log exceptions. Yeah, I'll get to that. Graph service client. Yeah. App group prefix. I actually want to step through this and see what's what. Load app users async. Load app user. My goodness, I've got all kinds of stuff in here that I probably don't need. All right. I don't want the finder. What are you doing, Rob? Come here. Let's sign in as Rob is testing. Hello, wakey. And let's do is testing stuff. Biometrics for the win. Sign in, logging in, and we are here. So we've got this. User equals all this stuff. Graph call results, proxy users, member of. Additional data is that. Oh, you turkey. What are you even doing? You know what? Graph groups. Um, Java is a fine place to start, although I would be absolutely zero help to you with that Gairal, because I've never worked with Java. I'm using C Sharp and .NET. Um, a lot of people say that C Sharp is a bad place to start because it locks you into Microsoft and it's not open source and you can't deploy it everywhere. And that was true until the mid 2010s, when a new CEO took the reins at Microsoft and said, "We are going to make everything, um, we're going to make everything open source and run everywhere." For instance, I'm developing C Sharp and .NET code on a Mac right now. That's what I'm using. Is I'm using Visual Studio Code on my Mac. And when I deploy this, yes, I am deploying to Azure, but I could, if I knew AWS or Google Cloud, just as easily deploy this whole system over to either Amazon Web Services or Google's cloud. It just so happens I'm most familiar with Microsoft products because that's what I've been working with for the past 20 plus years. And even up in Azure, this application and all of my admin backend stuff is actually executing on a Docker container with the Linux operating system on it, and it's all .NET. It's all Microsoft, it's all .NET. Even C Sharp and .NET Core are now open source software. You can go download the code that makes .NET happen and compile it, change it, change it in various ways that you might want, and use that. I wouldn't recommend doing that because .NET is gigantic, and the .NET team at Microsoft collectively has way more IQ if you add up all the people than I do. I mean, I'm not a dummy, but I am not smarter than the entire .NET team. uh, I don't think any one individual is up to the task of modifying the .NET stuff, the code and the .NET framework. So, all right, back to the problem at hand. But yes, to answer your question, Jirel, I would say C Sharp is a really friendly place to start. There are tons and tons and tons of educators out there who give away free content that will help you get started. One of them that I would look up on YouTube is Nick Cosentino. He's actually a engineering manager at Microsoft and a content creator. He's got YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn, all of those things under the name DevLeader CA. I'll just put this in the chat here. That's the username you want to look up, and he will help you get started. Like his content will help you get started. Smart guy, super nice. Has a bit of a Canadian accent. I've kind of lost mine, but you know that's not a problem, eh? But yeah, I would look up Nick's content because he will get you started on the path to .NET. Now, you are also going to want to pick up, and I might even consider picking these up first because it's like immediate feedback. HTML and CSS, those two. You're going to be tempted to do HTML, CSS, and JavaScript all at the same time. Oh, you're going to be tempted to do HTML, CSS, and JavaScript and try to learn all of those at the same time. I think that particular path has so many learning curves that you'll get discouraged. I'm a big believer in if I'm teaching somebody new for somebody something new that they have never had any exposure to in the past, I want to start with early success and easy wins right off the bat. Um, let's make a simple web page, and then let's make that web page using cascading style sheets look cool and have some cool animations and all of that stuff before we start working on, crazy interactivity and APIs and this and that and the other thing. I want to get people excited and saying, "Holy crap, I can do this!" Um, before we start digging into the actual nuts and bolts of scripting and everything like that. And honestly, in my opinion, JavaScript is incredibly flexible and incredibly powerful, but that flexibility and power comes at a price, and that price is frustration. Um, Trying to learn JavaScript from scratch as a brand new, I want to learn about programming, is going to be incredibly frustrating. And the debugging experience is also a little bit weird to get going, and so on and so forth. Another language that has become incredibly popular is Python. If you want to learn to code, Python is also a perfectly good alternative. It's got some of the flexibility problems that JavaScript has, in that it is very, very flexible, and it's very, very easy to make mistakes that become incredibly difficult to track down and figure out what the heck did I do wrong. Um, with C Sharp and Java, those are strongly typed languages. So when I say var user, this user is a very specific type of thing, and I can't use that type of thing for other stuff. Some people do recommend C for starters, and as somebody who has tried and failed to learn C a few times over the years, I don't recommend it because the developer experience last time I tried to do pure C was wonderful. It wasn't a great scene. Um, so I would strongly recommend, if you're just starting out and you want to learn the basics and learn the fundamentals, I would start with either C Sharp or Java. And then once you've got a handle on how programming works from either of those two languages, then you would bounce over to either JavaScript or Python. I would lean closer to JavaScript because JavaScript JavaScript basically runs the internet. It runs the web. Any web page that you go to, chances are it's chock full of scripts that are written in JavaScript that drive a lot of the interactivity that you see. I use JavaScript incredibly sparingly, only when I have to, but that's personal bias. I don't enjoy working with it, so I kind of avoid it wherever I'm able. But that's my personal bias. Don't let that poison your mind. It is a perfectly good language. I struggle with it a little bit, um, so I don't tend to recommend it to people that are just trying to start out and learn a little bit about where they want to go. Um, the big change in the .NET space over the past, I'm gonna say 10 years now, is the number of free resources. Visual Studio Code, this program I'm using to write my application, free. The .NET Framework, free. All the C Sharp tutorials you could ever want to get your mitts on, free. And there's tons of people like me out here that want to share what we've learned with the community. That's why I'm doing this, is to, share what I've learned in the years that I've been making software happen. I want to share it with as many people as I possibly can, because when I was learning, I got a lot of free help from strangers, people I worked with, so on and so forth. So I see it as sort of a karmic debt almost that I have to pay back. So what can you do with C Sharp? Well, that's a big question. Let's go here, and I'll sign out of the new person account, and I'll sign in as me, and I'll show you. This stuff, this is Azure. I didn't write this. Where does C Sharp shine? I would say in its applicability to darn near every use case you could imagine. What you're looking at here is HTML, CSS for the visuals, and C Sharp in the background. So let's say I need to make a new character for my players to encounter. Let's say they go to the blacksmith and they need to get their armor fixed. So I need a blacksmith who's not retired. Let's say this guy's a dragonborn. Or let's say this lady is a dragonborn. So we've got all that. And this is pure C Sharp in the background that rolled the dice and picked the things from the from the lists and everything like that. And then C Sharp is also taking that information and wrapping it up and sending it to a large language model that's running in Azure and receiving the response from that AI model and turning it back into text that you can see on your screen, and then saving it to a database in the cloud so that I can use Zarella Drakthar in a future D&D session when my characters decide they need to buy some new armor or weapons or horseshoes or what have you. Yes, as a matter of fact, this is the code. Well, I can't show you all the code in the time I have left in this stream, but it's broken up into, I would say at this point, scores of small files, 20s of small files. And each of those files is grouped into one of a very small set of typed components. Primarily, we have engines. This dice engine is in charge of generating all of the dice rolls that I need. So I can tell it I need to roll 5 6-sided dice, don't adjust the results at all, and don't modify the way you roll. And then it'll generate 5 random numbers between 1 and 6 and add them up and give me the result. I've got another one that does a coin toss, which is, heads or tails. It basically just true is heads, false is tails. I have the ability to apply a fuzz factor to things for when I need to generate a random number in the neighborhood of something. So that's the dice engine. I've also got like a card shuffler for when I've just got a list of items and I need to shuffle that list and pick the first one off the top. And that's what this does. And it's just using built-in .NET capabilities. Now down here under resource access, I need to be able to keep track of who's using what when. I need to be able to save the NPCs that my characters create or that my users will create. I need to have access to some of their data in the process of running this application. And the user access is really just logging them in, making sure they're in the correct groups, and so on and so forth. So yeah, this is a boatload of C# code. And then I've got a whole nother solution in another folder that does all of the back-end administrative stuff, like connecting the online store with the back-end places that I save the user's identity, like who they are, so that they can log in and log out, and I can grant them access to the things that they have paid for versus not let them into places that they haven't paid for, stuff like that. Yes, this is a personal project. I unfortunately did take the code base for this product, for the DM's Familiar itself. I moved it from being public and open source to a private repository because I am turning it into a product that I want to derive some income from. So I made the painful decision to basically turn this code base into a private repository on GitHub. However, I have the administrative backend system is still open source and will remain open source because there's a ton of sample code and techniques, like architectural techniques and stuff like that, that aren't, what I would consider to be trade secrets or intellectual property or anything like that. So, they're things that I have come up with that have been inspired by other people's work, extensions of other people's work, stuff like that. But I do want to share those with the world. I've got an architectural framework up there that I need to retrofit into this application at some point, but that's something that can wait. But yeah, this is largely a personal project that I'm going to turn into a business, so that I've got more than just, once I'm finally working again, so that I've got more than just one single source of income. And if everything goes well, maybe this can become my primary source of income at some point, and I don't have to work for somebody else. That'd be sweet. But yeah, I mean, you can do lots and lots and lots of things with C#. Years ago, when I was first learning C#, I started off with Visual Basic. The very first serious for-pay project that I got put on at a consulting company that I hired on with was writing the user interface and hardware communication parts. Somebody else wrote the parts that actually drive the motors and turn lights on and off and stuff like that. I was primarily building the UI and the touch screen that would then send the signals to the software that somebody else had written for a mobile nurse's station that could be wheeled from hospital room to hospital room. And I used C# for the touchscreen UI and all of that stuff. It was a really neat project. So yeah, C# is incredibly flexible. You can do a lot with it. And unlike JavaScript, it does have quite a few guardrails built into the language and the framework that keep you from making those frustrating, hard to find mistakes that JavaScript allows you to make. But once you're used to programming, by all means, pick up JavaScript. All right. So we've got an issue in here, in that when somebody logs in and they don't have any groups, we need to make sure they get added to at least the free users group, or the known users group, I should say. So let's see. I'm going to actually ask Microsoft Copilot. Hey there. Good morning. when I talk to AIs, I'm a bit of a weirdo. I talk to them like they're human beings. I'm using MS Entra B2C just in case. Yes, absolutely. Whenever I ask Alexa to put something on my shopping list or whatever, I always say please and thank you. I do the same thing for SIRI. I can't say her name out loud because I'm surrounded by Apple products, and she'll like jump to attention. and I don't need her to chime in right now. So I'm using MS Enter B2C to control access to a consumer application. That application, a consumer targeted, I should say. That application uses Entra groups to control what a user can and cannot see in the app. Can I, as part of the sign up process in Entra, add a new user to a specific Entra group automatically? Boom. API connectors to integrate custom workflows with the self-service sign-up process. Application in your Microsoft Entra tenant. Necessary permissions to your application. Create a new user. User data during the sign-up process. Enable API connectors. Use API connectors to pass user data to your approval system. All I want to do is add an Entra user to an Entra group as part of the built-in Entra sign-up flow. Okay, so I have to use API connectors. Set up a user flow, enable API connectors. My approval system is Entra, you silly goose. That's so weird that there's not really a way to... This uses ChatGPT on the back end. Microsoft Copilot uses GPT-4. And I don't have an OpenAI account, and I don't pay for OpenAI, and sometimes my conversations get a little long. And the free version that you can get to from Bing is more than sufficient for 90% of what I do. But behind the scenes, it's using ChatGPT. It's just hosted on Microsoft servers and all that stuff. Okay. So over in my API, I have not the API here, but the backend systems. I've got something that on first sign, or not on first sign up, but on demand, I can load or create a new user profile. And I can also any advice for someone who has no ties with the software industry? Honestly, dude, I'd start learning a language. I think I did a pretty decent sales pitch for C# and .NET, but there are tons of other languages and frameworks and so on. There's no one best choice for somebody who's just getting into it. Um, just try a few, like try a couple. Uh, Obviously, I'm going to say, go kick the tires on .NET and see how that feels for you, and then just start building stuff and get hooked on learning. Honestly, I've been doing this for almost 25 years as my job, and I learn. I have to constantly stay learning because it's always changing. There's always something new. There's always bigger, better, faster, more, and we don't always have to buy into bigger, better, faster, more. But there's benefits to constantly learning, and honestly, Garrel, I don't know if I said that right. Just just go for it. Start playing with it. That's the biggest advice I can give is, go find some. I am a brand new developer, or I am brand new to this. I want to learn how to make software. Uh, where do I start? And honestly, I'd put something together like that if I had the hours in the day, or excuse me, an extra head and set of arms and another laptop that could work independently. I would do that. But yeah, just go for it. Like learn some basics and then think of something simple, like some one of your hobbies or one of your interests that has like a chore thing that it's easy to do, but it's kind of a pain, and it kind of you kind of always have to do this while you are preparing to really do the fun part. Earth and the Country is built like a puzzle game, but I can't show that to a company and say hire me. Yeah, ah, I mean that's a cool sounding thing. I've never tried to write anything like that before, and that seems like a really uh, interesting little project. As far as breaking into the industry, it's I mean, getting a job in this industry these days is kind of difficult. The job market is a dumpster fire, to say the least. But I mean, just start talking to people, and make contacts in Romania. That's where you said, yeah, you're in Romania. Well, the EU. So, oh God, yeah, management. I don't think there's enough money in the world to get me to be a manager. Um, but a big benefit to being in that manager job is you've got some people skills. You've learned how to work with people. You've learned how to, get a group of individuals to work as a cohesive team. One would hope. um, and it largely depends on how much of a administrative leadership mandate you're given by your organization in that manager role. Um, but yeah, as soft skills are huge, huge in software development. Um, you got to be you got to get good at talking to people, and you got to get good at uh, influencing people. Not and I don't mean that in like a creepy, icky, manipulative way. I mean that in a way of being able to successfully get the people that you're working with to buy into what's going on and what you're doing, and take ownership and take a personal make a personal investment in whatever the project is. um, and just keep coding, like that blue fish in the Finding Nemo movie. Just keep swimming, just keep coding, and solve problems in your own life. And then by doing that stuff, you're going to build up stories that you can tell in an interview. You're going to build up, you're going to learn what works and what doesn't. And you're going to have some fun if you're doing it right. Honestly. Oh, dude, listen, I've been writing code for 25 years professionally. And before then, I was making web pages. And before then, I was typing in programs from magazines that my dad had buy me and stuff like that. And I, I'm pretty good at aspects of it. I've gotten good at large parts of making software happen. I still get stuck a lot of the time, man. I spend so much time with a language model or Google or Stack Overflow or whatever, your search engine of choice. Um, yeah, so that never goes away. But the fun thing is, you're learning. And I am at an hour, so I do need to end this stream. Garrel, thanks for hanging out, man. Thanks for joining. This has been a really, really great conversation. I'm going to come back at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. That's in about 2 hours, and I'm going to get some of this integration stuff happening because I've identified where the first problem, the first clue to the problem is, and I have a pretty clear idea of what I need to do here. So I'm going to break, and I'll be back in a couple hours. Take care, everybody, and I hope to see y'all again soon. Bye now.